Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to a special review for the brand new 13th studio album from Midnight Oil called Resist. So this is a reunion album, but it also might be their final album as they've headed out on a farewell tour. We'll have to wait and see. This one here was released digitally on February 18th, but the physical format version like the CD and vinyl didn't come out until March 11th. And we're going to dive into this right now. But before we do, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this with a review for the brand new Midnight Oil album, Resist. This is one I'm super excited about. Now, before we jump into it, I want to give you a little bit of context and background on the band. So they formed way back in 1972, and so they're actually celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. A year later, they would add lead vocalist Peter Garrett to the lineup, and then in 1976, they made an official name change to Midnight Oil. And 2 years later, in 78, they released their debut album. Now, over the next decade and the intervening time, the band continued to build its profile, growing a bit larger with each release. And then in 1987, they finally broke through around the world with their sixth studio album, Diesel and Dust. And this album itself focused specifically on the struggles of the indigenous Australian people. And this one also features their best known song, Beds Are Burning, which was a top 20 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. And in all, the album itself has sold over 1 million copies just in the US alone. Now, in 1990, the band followed up the success of that album with another successful album, Blue Sky Mining. This one was even more defiant and outspoken than their previous albums and featured, of course, the title track, but also one of my favorite songs, Forgotten Years. The album itself would be certified gold for sales of 500,000 copies in the US. And in the intervening years, the band would release 4 more studio albums, culminating with Capricornia in 2002. Unfortunately, though, the same year, lead vocalist Peter Garrett announced his decision to leave the band as he wanted to focus on his political career, something that had always been close to his heart. And in a 2004 election, he actually won a seat in the Australian Senate. And then in 2007, he was named Minister for the Environment, Heritage, and Arts. And so in 2009, the band itself reunited for one show, but there was no plans at that point to continue. Finally, though, in 2016, we all got our wish. Midnight Oil officially reformed and headed out on a world tour in 2017. And then 2 years ago, in 2020, the band released its first new material in 18 years with the Makarrata project. You can see the EP there down at the bottom, the red one. And so this EP featured 7 tracks on it. And now, 20 years on from their last full-length album, we finally get Resist, the album we want to talk about here. So 13th studio album. As I mentioned, it is a reunion album. It's the first full-length album since they've all gotten back together. But it may well be their last album because they are heading out on a farewell tour. So we'll have to wait and see if they continue on beyond this point. They have said they are open to recording in the future. Let's certainly hope that this is not the final statement from the band. It does feature 12 tracks on it. It is 60 minutes long, so a nice full-length album here. The basis of the album itself comes from 20 tracks that were all recorded at the same time and then split into the EP, the Makarrata project, as well as this album here. Both of these feature bass by Bones Hillman, who unfortunately passed away in 2020 unexpectedly. And like past work, the album itself is very passionate, features topics close to the Oil's heart, like environmental topics and the struggles of indigenous people. The album itself, though, I find at times quieter, more reflective, and looking back with Peter singing about the failures of his generation to actually make the changes that they've been talking about. Still, though, there's moments of indignation, rage, power, carrying on for the album all the different feelings, emotions, and sounds that make up for a classic Midnight Oil album. And lead vocalist Peter Garrett sounds as though he is just as good as ever, as though he hasn't aged in 20 years. Don't know how that's possible, but for him it's pretty amazing. And the rest of the band is still on par as well, with past performances delivering the goods and even more. right, so there's some real standout songs on this album I want to talk about. Track number 1, Rising Seas. This song opens with a softly sung melodic bit before kicking in to a mid-tempo rocker that's sort of typical to Midnight Oil style. It's got a really nice underlying groove by bassist Bones Hillman on it. And then track 3, Tarkine. It's the first single that came off the album, and it's a melodic rocker with a very classic sounding guitar melody throughout the song, and it's sung with lots of passion by Peter. Then track number 4, At the Time of Writing. This one here is one of the most rockin' songs on the album, mostly due to the vocal delivery from Peter on it, but the guitars in particular on this one feel really big, along with the drums on it. Track number 7, Reef. This one here is my favorite track. It's an upbeat rocker that alternates a driving force on it to a more melodic interlude before kicking back in, and it makes a really big impact every time it does that. I particularly like the guitar solo on this one. And track number 9, Lost at Sea. This one here is another great track, highlighting bassist Bones Hillman's contributions to the band. He performs another driving bass line on this one, supercharging the song with lots of energy, despite the more melodic sung vocals that are on this one. So let's take a look at this album here. Front cover of it, it is in a cardboard packaging, but I really like the red, white, and blue against the stark black background of it. Very cool graphic on the back side. Song titles are down here. There's the spine of this, and when we open it up, we get to some nice graphics on the inside, a little shot of the band there and the names of the members and whatnot. We've got a little booklet type poster in there and the CD that's in here. I'll slide out the disc to show you that. No sleeve for it to go in though. And then we'll pull out the booklet part of it. And as I mentioned, it's sort of poster-like in that when we open it up, we do get lyrics and all that sort of stuff on this side of it. But over here, we get something more like a promotional poster for the thing, which is very cool. Kind of done up like a movie poster, the way they've got all the script and everything at the bottom, but kind of cool the way that they've done that, something a little different, and I like that. Now, so bottom line on this album itself, it's really great to finally have a brand new Midnight Oil album after 20 years. Although it's kind of bittersweet because it could be their last album, but if it is their final album, I will say it's a worthy one to be going out on, and the band itself is in fine form, having lost nothing in the intervening years of inactivity. And the album itself, and the band itself that acts as though the band has never really taken a hiatus. The thing sounds as though they picked up right where they left off, and in fact making this album sound just as good as the rest of the band's catalog, and definitely worth checking out in my opinion. All right, so there you go. This is the review for the brand new Midnight Oil 13th studio album, Resist. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. For related videos, do check the links in the description below, as I have a full review for the Makarrata Project EP and also a tribute to Bones Hillman, where we remember him with his unfortunate passing in 2020. And certainly if you've enjoyed this video, consider sharing it out on social media. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm certain that Midnight Oil would also appreciate it. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Bye-bye.